Chicago. They are underway, and the Bulldogs of Georgia, the number 3 seed in the East, with a 12-5 lead on Southern Illinois. The game about to tip in Washington, D.C. The top seed.
Action for the Terps. It is a deep Maryland team.
Holding an 80% free throw shooter. And again, Gray Williams employing a good strategy here, trying to pick up the pace of the game and wear down this team that is not.
All right, let's take you now to Chicago. Second round action in the East, where Southern Illinois is playing Georgia, and the Salukis are on a 10-3 run to pull back to within shouting distance of Georgia, which has been popping like crazy from long range.
Well, they got off to a terrific start from behind the arc, but Georgia is not a very deep team. As a matter of fact, Jim Herrick plays only 7 or 8 players. Southern Illinois, on the other hand, will play 10 guys, and I think Georgia getting a little tired, and as a result, Southern Illinois starting to chip away at the lead.
We talked about that long-range shooting. Georgia hit 6 out of their first 7 3-pointers, while Southern Illinois went 1 of 5 before catching 5.
Well, you know, that 3-point shot is a great equalizer. You talk free throw shooting, rebounds, and turnovers as far as key statistics in games, but 3-point
qualify for the Sweet 16. They lead Xavier by 3, 45-42. In Chicago, Southern Illinois has pulled to within 1 of the number 3 seed in the East, Georgia. 38-37 is the score. Let's take you there live. Tim Brando and Eddie Fogler.
A 26-8 run when you include the first basket for Southern Illinois in the second half. Hayes finally getting the answer, but Georgia has not gotten a field goal since a 3-pointer at the 8:25 mark of the first half. They had opened up at one point a 30-11 lead. Only now have they reached 40 points. Just over a minute gone, United Center, Chicago. And as the pod factor goes in 2002, it's the 11 seed that has the home crowd. Hairston. And the follow by Dearman. And again, an example of the angular approach. That wingspan had a lot to do with that follow-up deuce.
Well, Daniels went over to try to block it and free Dearman to the offensive board. Nobody could put a body on him to get him off. 16 in the game for Jermaine Dearman. Hayes over Williams. Not this time. Loose ball. Finally reeled in by Steve Thomas. That's where Jim Herrick wants it, in Rashad Wright's hands. Daniels. Ezra Williams actually had 2 men picked there, and the foul goes against Southern Illinois.
Southern Illinois foul, number 1, Darren Brooks.
Here we see Georgia coming across the lane. Chris Daniels, he leaves Dearman to try to block a shot, and Dearman gets back in on the weak side.
One of the rare times Eddie Daniels gets to the free throw line that you see a guard. Now, granted, Ezra Williams is 6'4" and is a wide body. He took out 2 Salukis defenders.
For Southern Illinois.
Georgia seeded 3rd, SIU seeded 11th, and very stubborn, 41-39, the Bulldogs in the lead. We thank you for joining us here on Singular at the half. We'll send you back to Washington for the second half of Wisconsin and Maryland, after in which Maryland began with a 9-0 run, and they've put some distance between themselves and the Badgers. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Georgia and Southern Illinois, the Salukis lead at 60-56, and Georgia shooting well from long range, but they get inside the arc and they don't do as well.
They have really struggled. You have to give Southern Illinois a lot of credit for that, because their defense has really picked up since about midway in that first half. They're deep and they're very aggressive and quick, and they've really disrupted Georgia's offense.
Georgia hit a 12-minute cold spell and has blown a 19-point lead in this game.
Still time, only down 4. Georgia's a good free throw shooting team. They just have to be more patient at the offensive end.
So we'll keep an eye on that for you. A 4-point lead for the 11th seed Southern Illinois Salukis. Let's get you back to Dallas and rejoin Craig Bolerjack and Bob Windsor.
The Georgia Bulldogs once led this game 30-11. They went on a 12-minute, 25-second scoring drought from the floor at the end of the first half in the last 8.5 minutes and the first 4 minutes of the second half. From that point on, Southern Illinois took control of this game. And now the Bulldogs find themselves in some foul difficulty. And here's a turnover as Sylvester Willis comes away with a loose ball. 14 turnovers committed by Georgia as we hit the 7-minute mark here at the United Center. Brooks. Willis stripped on the way up. As you look at our game summary, the Georgia Bulldogs have controlled the glass, but they've turned it over far too many times. Southern Illinois' Jermaine Dearman has really been the story. 22 big points from him. A real factor. Southern Illinois with 16 points off those turnovers. Georgia only with 5 on the few turnovers they've been able to pick up. So really, therein lies the difference in this game, Eddie.
Georgia better get to the shooters in this 2-3 zone. Southern Illinois has good three-point shooting on the perimeter.
So you've talked about that before. When you play zone, you still must guard the ball down the stretch.
Tim, I don't care what your defense is, what kind of man-to-man defense you're playing or zone defense, you've got to guard the ball. Guarding the ball is a must in any defense, man or zone. If you don't guard the ball, you can't play defense.
And Ezra Williams just did that, but again, an offensive rebound for the Salukis. Dearman pulled down by Hayes. He's got right deep, and he goes over the top to him. Williams for 3. Never got his shoulder square for that one, but Thomas gets the garbage deuce. Cleaning it up for the Bulldogs, who trail by 5. Thomas with 6. Tough place for the higher seeds, Chicago, Illinois. And to reach in, Daniels and Rashad Wright were involved.
Here's the pitch ahead to Wright, goes over to Williams on the secondary break. Uncharacteristically shoots an air ball. Daniels on the weak side, over to Thomas. Nice pass, easy basket.
Chris Daniels just fouled out, picking up his 5th. 6 points, 4 rebounds, 1 for 5 shooting. We closed the book on him. This is a club that does lack depth. And as the fouls continue to pile up, Jim Herrick runs out of options as he looks deeper into his bench. Now, Jonas Hayes certainly can be as effective on the floor as Daniels can.
Georgia substitution, number 33, Jonas Hayes.
Well, that's a big blow now for Georgia. Chris Daniels is their most versatile front court player. He can rebound, he can score. He's a great ball handler. Jonas Hayes, who played well on Friday night, has not played quite as well tonight. He's going to have to step up here.
Well, the other thing about Daniels is there are times when he could actually run the point.
He brought it up 2 possessions ago, Tim, and did play some point guard. Southern Illinois knocking their free throws down.
There you see the foul difficulty with Daniels out of the game. Ezra Williams, they have to keep him on the floor. The second best option they have offensively. Loose ball, Hayes. And a foul against Southern Illinois.
Southern Illinois foul, number 25.
Against Stetson Hairston.
That's his 3rd personal.
The missed free throw. Georgia doesn't do a particularly good job boxing out. Tip it, misses the easy one, and then over the back by Stetson Hairston.
Jarvis Hayes, 2 shots.
Hayes at the free throw line. Brad Korn checks into the game now for Dearman. You know, it's interesting. We talk about how the ebb and flow of a game can change, Eddie. Southern Illinois scored 11 points in the first 12 minutes of this game. They've scored 55 in the last 23 minutes.
Incredible. And I've got to give Bruce, again, Weber credit for using his bench. His bench turned this game around by putting fresher players on the court than Georgia had.
Jarvis Hayes' dad looks on, urging on both sons, Jonas and Jarvis.
Dearman on the bench. He won't be there very long.
Now, Bruce Weber decides to use a little clock here with his motion. Williams a pull-up. Oh, feathery touch for a coach's dream. He has 8. 68-61.
Good defense by Ezra Williams. Kent Williams just jumped up over him and made a tough shot.
Right. High arching shot. Hayes stays with it. Korn hit the deck, and that allowed a clear lane for Jarvis Hayes to take it to the hoop. 22 for Jarvis. Bruce Weber calls for motion. And when he runs it, watching 33 in the garnet and black is a lot of fun, right?
He has savvy, savvy, savvy. Great without the ball.
Hairston, not there. Pulled down by Thomas. 12 rebounds for Steve Thomas. Great entry pass. Hayes can't complete it. Boy, Jonas missed that one from point-blank range. Wright made a beautiful pass. Brooks, air ball, pulled down by Hayes.
Both teams struggling to hit the rim here the last couple of possessions.
You expect fatigue from Georgia, but you're beginning to see some in Southern Illinois. There's a little anxiety in their eyes. Hayes on the baseline. Southern Illinois does not have an answer for Jarvis Hayes.
Not when he posts up, and I'm surprised he didn't post him up more earlier during the game.
Kent Williams, oh, the coach's dream with a feathery touch. Line stat of the game, points off turnovers. It's been the difference, though Georgia is now making its run. Get complete tournament coverage at cbs.sportsline.com or on America Online. Enter keyword CBS Sportsline.
And points off of turnovers, Tim Brando, generally are easy baskets. Many times they result in layups.
The Bulldogs have not been this close since the 12:47 mark of this half. It was 55-52. And a kick by Jarvis Hayes. Got his size 15s out there and a fresh 35 for the Salukis. Timeout. 3:32 remaining on the road to the Final Four. That is not Davy Crockett. That is a Saluki, an Egyptian greyhound. This, by the way, is the 50th anniversary of Salukis. There was a drought in the 1800s in northern Illinois, and a lot of people came down to southern Illinois because it was more fertile, and they referred to it as Little Egypt in the biblical times when people would come down for better crops. And the oldest purebred dog in biblical times and throughout the world, the Saluki. And of course, Uga would dispute that, saying that when you get behind the Mason-Dixon line, it's already biblical enough for him. You got that? He is the man.
He is the man.
They actually have a 10-ton Uga inside Sanford Stadium, affectionately known as Between the Hedges, behind the end zone there.
Excellent patience on this possession by the Salukis.
Williams, a runner. Off the back iron. Good communication in there. Did you hear? You can hear the Saluki player as he launched the shot screaming short, knowing to tell the players, look, go after it.
And a crucial defensive rebound that Georgia couldn't come up with. Back in their 2-3 zone, out of bounds underneath. They better get to the shooters on this possession. Touch the shooters. Actually, see if you can put your hand slightly in the midsection of the offensive player if he's a good three-point shooter. Touch the shooters.
Dearman, he's been devastating in there. Dishes off to Roberts. A dunk under. Yes, and a foul.
Georgia foul number 55, Steve Thomas. Fourth personal. 10.
Here we see Dearman penetrating, kicking it off to Roberts. He bounces the ball, he goes up and gets the angle created, and what an excellent left-handed layup for Rolan Roberts. And it all goes back to the offensive rebound on the missed free throw.
Oh, and then he airballs the free throw opportunity. Southern Illinois shoots 62% from the line. That's second worst out of the 64 teams in the tournament. And down the stretch, with 2:51 left, even with the double bonus, that could wreak havoc on the Salukis.
They will be tested to make their free throws here today. Georgia will not go down easy. If they have to foul, they will.
Hayes, Williams, Wright, Steve Thomas, and Jonas Hayes on the floor. And again, Hairston picks up the foul, trying to deal with Hayes on the bounce.
Southern Illinois foul, number 25, Stetson Hairston. That's his 4th personal
That's
foul.
4 on Stetson Hairston.
Georgia, Jarvis Hayes.
2 shots coming to Hayes.
Hayes actually walked over like he thought the ball was going to be taken out of bounds underneath. It's a 2-shot foul.
It's a little shooter's touch.
Darren returns for Southern Illinois.
The ebb and flow of this one has been bizarre, to say the least. Georgia led 30-11. And then at the 8-minute mark of the second half, Jim Herrick decided to give his star point guard, Rashard Wright, a few minutes rest. When that occurred, the Salukis went on a 6-0 run. That ballooned to a 12-0 run and then ended in the half with a 24-8 spurt. It carried through into the second half, and Southern Illinois has led since the 15:48 mark of this half. A 1-possession game with 2:20 remaining.
Southern Illinois, great space and using the entire half court, probing and searching for a great shot.
Oh, Brooks almost double dribbled. Williams, a rainbow. That's where they'd be going, somewhere over it, provided they win. Hayes, Williams the follow. Timeout, Bulldogs.
That must be the 4th or 5th air ball for an easy basket on the offensive board by Georgia.
Like a rock.
You see the East Regional semifinals that will be held in Syracuse, New York. The winner of this game will advance to take on Connecticut. Maryland, with a huge lead, is likely to take on Kentucky. I tell you, Connecticut, a close game today against North Carolina State. They've been living on the edge all year in the Big East.
They've made big shots down the stretch of close games, and teams have missed big shots down the stretch against them. Connecticut has won a lot of close basketball games. NC State almost took them out today.
Bruce Weber, longtime Gene Cady assistant, bringing the Cady ideal into Carbondale. His club now just less than 2 minutes away from a march to the Sweet 16. It would be their first since 1977 when Mike Glenn led them there, later known as the Stinger, because of the way he would tickle the twine. Today, Jermaine Dearman has played that role.
High post ball screen, pick and roll.
Williams inside to Dearman. He put it on the deck. Georgia gets the turnover.
Keep possession here. Georgia must score.
Williams, a floater. Jonas Hayes. The complimentary role player of the twin brothers, who came over from Western Carolina with the tip in. The Dogs with some big brawn inside stay in it. 73-71 as you look at our game reset. Just under 60 ticks remaining. Both teams in the double bonus. But again, a reminder, one team shoots very poorly at the free throw line. 63rd among the 64 teams. This Georgia Bulldogs team only down 2. And if they put the Salukis at the free throw line, Eddie Fogler, they're at a tremendous advantage.
Georgia now pressing. They got to stay solid defensively. They should not foul. They're giving up the 2-shot foul. They're going to get the ball back. Stay solid. A lot of time left in this basketball game.
So you say stay straight up.
Stay straight up. And Southern Illinois has timeouts left. Any problem on the offensive end, they should take a timeout.
Ooh, that was a near steal by Williams. He deflected it. Four outstanding shooters on the floor for Southern Illinois. Williams is the first option. He's running through picks right now. Dearman, late on the shot clock. Creating on his own. The iron unkind, pulled down by Dearman.
And now Georgia's going to have to foul. They could run the clock out. They got to pick out somebody to foul. They've got to foul.
And they get an intentional foul. Oh, Jonas Hayes was reacting to what the coach was saying. He clearly went after a player without the ball, and Mike Wood called an intentional foul. And
how about this play by Jermaine Dearman? He has to force up a shot and hits the board, but his quick twitch gets the offensive rebound. What a play by Jermaine Dearman.
How big is the intentional? But obviously, you have to make a move on the ball. So it was an easy whistle for the official.
And Rolan Roberts, a 42.7% foul shooter, bricks one.
What did we say? 63rd among the 64 schools in the tournament. But here's the key. They get the ball. Here's the reason for the intentional.
Off the ball. They just push him in the back and ride him out. Not even trying to play defense. Good call by Mike Wood.
Right? I mean, basically in a position where he had to make that call.
And Coach Herrick doesn't like it.
That's one of those where the coach says, how could I understand what an intentional is, but to call it in that situation, that's the argument Jim Herrick would have.
As a coach, I understand Coach Herrick's argument, but Rolan Roberts was just being pushed out of bounds, off the ball, not even in the play.
I agree. Sometimes, you know, court awareness of your team, veterans know that you have to go after the guy with the ball. And by not going after the player with the ball, it made the intentional an easy call for Mike Wood.
And absolutely, and of course the Georgia players know Roberts is a 42.7% foul shooter, so they've been told through scouting, if we have to foul, Roberts is the guy we want to foul. Now what we have here is Georgia's got to try to deny the inbounds pass. They need to get a steal, or they need to get a 5-second count. Southern Illinois has got to get it in to a good foul shooter.
Freddie Gibson is going to come into the game for Georgia. Here again is a look at the foul. And there's the coaches are screaming, foul him, foul him. They meant to say get the guy with the ball, I'm sure. Now, granted, Roberts is a poor free throw shooter, but he rode him from the baseline all the way off the floor.
Good call. Very crucial play here. Spot throw in. Southern Illinois needs to get it into a good foul shooter. Georgia is going to try to get a 5-second count or a steal. Any problem, Belcher should take a timeout. Southern Illinois has timeouts left if he can't get it in.
Foul spotted against Thomas, I beg your pardon. Daniels already out of this game. And that's 5 fouls on Thomas. And that'll put Korn at the free throw line. He's a 65% free throw shooter. Really had no choice, did they?
Yeah, well, it was getting close to a 5-second count, but he kind of rides him out of bounds right in front of the official.
Korn, by the way, is 1 out of 2 at the line, and Jim Herrick is still working Duke Edsel over with this 60-second period that he has to make the change and get another player in there.
Tim, I'm not so sure Southern Illinois was going to get the ball inbounds, but Belcher was prepared to take a timeout if he could not.
See how close they were to a 5-second violation here at regular speed.
1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004.
Pretty close.
For Southern Illinois, Brad Korn, 2
now,
shots.
If he makes both, you're clearly thinking for Georgia, they better hustle up, get down the floor, and get, what, the easy 2? And then a timeout, or take the 3?
You take the first one available, then call timeout. It's a 2-possession game if this free throw goes in.
One timeout remaining for Georgia, so they can call a timeout after a made basket. 14.3 left.
Southern Illinois has no one on the free throw line.
Southern Illinois substitution number 11, Sylvester Willis.
Southern Illinois backing all their players off the foul line to be able to guard Georgia as they blow this ball up the court, trying to get a good shot.
See, only one timeout remaining. That's very important for Georgia. Timeout to Southern Illinois. Southern Illinois, an 11 seed, looking to advance into the Sweet 16, up by 5 over the Georgia Bulldogs. Just over 14 seconds remaining. A very controversial intentional foul call to aid them in the process. You see what's at stake. Opportunity to move on against Connecticut, provided they hold on here.
2-possession game. Georgia's got to take the first good shot, whether it's a 2 or a 3, call timeout and use their last timeout to stop the clock.
Right, takes it the distance and the quick timeout. And interestingly, 9.5 remaining, so they can go for the steal and a quick tray when we come back. Basketball, and you see both teams in the double bonus, so obviously Georgia needs a turnover and a 3. They're out of timeouts.
That's what they have to have, Tim. Southern Illinois now can run the baseline. After a made field goal, the inbound player can run the baseline. Big advantage. They want to get the ball into one of their best foul shooters. If Belcher's having any problem, he needs to take a timeout. Georgia, on the other hand, has got to try to get a 5-second count or a steal. If not, they've got to foul right away.
And they're not defending the inbounds passer, so they've got the extra defender available to them. Got it into Brooks's hand, and then the quick foul.
Brooks, a 78.8% foul shooter. Good use of the timeout by Bruce Weber. Got the ball inbounds and got it into a young man who's played very well tonight, and who's an excellent foul shooter.
Now you saw Jim Herrick sarcastically suggesting that that should have been an intentional foul as well. He's still burning over that call. And while it was a good call, it was a courageous call by Mike Wood, because in similar situations, some officials would never call an intentional. That should do it. How about this? The lowest seed to ever make it to a Final Four was an 11, LSU, back in 1986. This 11 seed is trying to get to the Sweet 16. Right again, takes it all the way to the hole.
No timeouts left, but the clock stops under a minute.
Almost picked off by Gibson. Oh, the wide receiver nearly took it out of midair. But now an inbounds pass is all that's necessary, but sometimes that's the toughest thing to do in this game.
Any problem, timeout. That's why coaches save them. Southern Illinois, 1 timeout left.
And the Party Crashers from Carbondale advance to the Sweet 16. '77 was the year that Southern Illinois cut down some nets in their conference and managed to make the Sweet 16. Jermaine Dearman becomes a star. You'll be reading about it tomorrow in the headlines in his native Indianapolis, Indiana. But today in Chicago, the big play was an intentional foul called against Jonas Hayes.
Well, here we see Rolan Roberts, and the foul, the push begins, and they ride him out of bounds off the ball, never trying to play defense, just riding a poor foul shooter out of bounds.
That really turned the table at the end of this game to provide Southern Illinois its opportunity, and they will be a quality matchup against Connecticut in the Sweet 16 in Syracuse. Our Chevrolet most valuable players of the game, Jermaine Dearman, and why not, 25 points on 10 of 15 shooting. Jarvis Hayes for Georgia. For Eddie Fogler and Charles Davis, Tim Brando, so long from Chicago. Greg and Clark on the other side from New York. What a yellow brick road from Bruce Weber's Salukis.